show you how to create a sword in Blender. This is a beginner tutorial, so anyone should be able to follow the steps. Now, you're going to start by going into edit mode. To go into edit mode, you can either click the tab button or you can go up to here and click the edit mode button here. Once in edit mode, we're going to create a loop cut that goes all the way around this cube. To do so, you can either click here under the loop cut, or you can go Control R, and that'll bring up this loop cut. This yellow thing shows where it's going to create the loop cut. If you hold it and drag, it'll create it along any place you want it. However, we just want the loop cut to appear right in the middle. So we're just going to click there. Then we're going to click Select button again. Then we're going to scale this in the Y direction, and we're going to scale it 3 times. To scale in the Y, you click S, then you click the direction you want to scale. In this case, we want to scale Y, so you click Y, and then you can click a number, or you can scale it to however much you want. This time, we're going to do 3. Now we're going to go to Face Select. To go to Face Select, you can either click this button up here, which is the Face Select button, or you can click 3 on the number pad. Well, 3 on the number. Then you click these 2 faces. We want to bring them up. How do you grab and move things? To do it, it's very simple. You just click G, and then you can move up as much as you want. In this case, we'll move up a high amount because this is going to be a tall blade. So let's move up 30. Now we want to move in the Z direction. To do that, you press Z. And then you click Enter. Now, an important shortcut way to get to places you want to see easily in the screen is to click the period button on the number pad. This zooms you in on whatever you're currently focused on. Now, we want to create kind of the point at the end of the sword. To that, you go, and we're going to extrude it. To do extrude, you press E on the shortcut E, or you can go over to here and click the extrude button. In this case, I'm just going to click E. I recommend learning the hotkeys because they speed up your ability to create objects quickly in Blender. Now we're going to do it just a small amount. For this purpose, we're going to do 2.5. And then we're going to scale in the Y direction, and we're going to scale it to 0.66. Then we're going to repeat that, so we're going to do E to extrude, 2.5, and then click Enter, and then scale in the Y direction. This time we're going to do it 0.33. Now it's off of the screen, we can't see it at the moment. If I click the period, it'll zoom in. Then we're going to extrude 1. Now we're going to go into vertex mode. And that's up here. You can click 1 on the number pad to get to that mode, or go and click on it right there. Now, we want to merge, or all of these vertices to end up merged in the center. To do that, it's very simple. You can click M, and then this will pick where it'll merge at. In this case, we want to merge at the center. There, that's really nice. However, this sword is way too fat, and it looks disproportionately fat. To fix that, we're going to select the whole thing. To select the whole thing, click A on the number pad, and then scale in the X direction, and we're going to do it 0.5. And this point is still too fat. So we're going to fix that. We're going to select these 4 vertices, and we're going to scale in the X direction, and we're going to do that to 0.5. That's much better. That makes it not much nicer shape. And that's the first piece of the sword, it's the blade. Now this is a very fat blade. You can always change how fat or thin you want it to be. Next we're going to add the handle. The second part is the handle. To do that, we're going to create a cube. Now to zoom in on the thing that you just, now I'm going to show you how to create an object. You can go up to Object, and you can click, well, you can go up to Add and do Mesh and whatever you want. But a faster way is to do Shift A. That brings up the same menu and allows you to create whatever objects you want. In this case, we want to create a cube. To zoom in on it, you press the period button to zoom in. Now we want to tab into edit mode. and we want to scale in the Y direction. We're going to do that 5 times, create a nice smallish handle. But we want these ends to be narrow and the middle to not be. To do that, we want to create a loop cut. Now remember, the short key is Shift R. Control R, not Shift R. That creates the loop cut. We want the loop cut in the center. So just click and enter. And then this, if you haven't gotten it right in the center, if you want to control where it's at, you can do this. And that'll take you exactly to certain spots. However, that's not what we want. We want to just create it, so we're just going to click. Then we're going to scale in the X direction. Then we're going to we want to grab these 2 faces. Now we can't select the faces until we go into face select. So press 3 or go to face select. Grab this face here. Now we could turn the camera by holding down on the middle mouse button and panning and rotating around the object. But you can also select it by going to X-ray mode. To go into X-ray mode, you hold Alt and then click Z. And that allows you to select things that would be the other side of the object. So select that face. Now if you want to select more than one face, you just hold Shift and then you can select as many faces you want. Then we're going to scale these in the X direction until we feel like they're pretty good. Now we want the bottoms of these 2 sides to kind of go up because that makes a more interesting shape. To do that, we're going to go into Edge Select. We've done Vertex and Face Select. Now we're going to go into Edge Select. You can press 2 or click this button on the number pad. Now because we're still in X-ray mode, you can select through objects. We're going to select an edge there and an edge there. And you don't see any changes, but if you rotate, you can see that these 2 edges are selected. Now we're going to grab those and move them in the Z direction. To do it, press G and then Z. And you can move up as much as you want. Now we want to, now you notice the sword down here is visible. We don't really like that. To fix that, we're going to grab the whole thing. We're going to tab out of edit mode, grab it, and then move down 1 in the Z direction. And that fixes that problem. But this handle still isn't quite finished yet. It looks too jagged on this middle area. We want to add in another ability. We want to create some topology right in that center area. The sword could work like this right now, but we want to make it look nicer. To do that, select this edge. Now you can pan, or you can select these buttons over here and rotate in whatever way you want. Or you can use the middle mouse button. Both work. If you don't have a middle mouse button, then you can use this sphere for rotating that's up here. We want to bevel that middle area. To do that, you can click on Control and B, and that brings up the bevel option. If you pull it out, it'll create a bevel along that middle area. And we want to do it until it's about like that. That creates a nice flattish area in the middle. Now I still think it's a little bit too wide, so I'm going to select the whole thing and scale in the X-axis again. And that makes it just a little bit cleaner. Now the handle's finished. The next piece we're going to work on is, well, we've done the crossguard. Now we're going to do the handle. To do the handle, we want to create a different kind of shape than we've created before. We want to create a cylinder shape. Now to bring up the shapes, do Shift A, and then you're going to bring up and go down until you see cylinder. Now it's created a cylinder. If you want to change how many sides the cylinder has, you can do that right here. What we want to keep with the standard size that it has. Now grab it and move it in the Z direction, -2. And then we're going to tab into edit mode. And we're going to scale the whole thing in the X direction until it is a little bit flatter, just shy of that the size of the handle. sword handles aren't circular typically. They're typically a kind of a flattened oval because that makes it easier to hold for a person to hold the sword. Grab these bottom edges and move it down as much as you want. Now to lock it to a direction, hold that direction, in this case Z. We're going to move it down, say -3, or no, maybe minus 5. Make a little bit bigger of a handle. Now that could work right now, but we want to make it look a little bit more like there's gripping space for the person to grip the sword for. To do that, we're going to create another edge loop. Now this time we want to create lots of edge loops. Now, I've showed you how to create a single one, but to create many, you open up the side panel and then you can scroll for how many you want. In this case, we're going to create 12 edge loops. Once you've created those, you can click off of it, click select, and then we're going to go into face select. Turn off X-ray mode, and then we're going to select every other one. Now to do that, all you have to do is hold the Alt key while you click on an edge between two spaces. This will allow you to select everything in between. If I select this face, it'll select all those along that axis, but I want to select all of them along there. We're going to do this for each of these loops. Just hold Alt. Now if you want to select more than one, you hold Alt and then Shift. Now we want to extrude along all the directions, so X and Y. We don't want to move in just one direction. To do that, we need a different kind of extrusion. So to bring up the extrusion panel, you can hold Alt and then E, and then this allows you to pick what kind of extrusion you want. In this case, we want to extrude along face normals. So we're going to extrude a little bit out. Now we are going to scale these to make them more rounded. To do that, we want to scale them individually. Now this here tells us how things are going to be affected. Right now, they're affecting all of the objects from the middle of all the objects. We want to affect them from individual origins. So go up to here and select individual origins. Then scale in the Z direction until it's more thin. Then that's a little bit too wide, so we're going to bring it in a little bit. Then we're going to, now if you want to, I feel like there's too much space in between these. To fix that, you can do Control and then plus, and then scale in the Z direction, and that allows you to make that a little bit wider. And that creates a nice little grippy handle for us to hold on to. The last thing that we're going to create is the pummel. We're going to create a very simple pummel. Bring up the panel of objects and Shift A, and then select UV sphere. Now we're going to grab the sphere along the Z and position it at the bottom. However, that sphere is a little bit too small, so we're going to scale it until it is a little bit bigger. And that works as a pummel. You can create other kinds of pummels if you want, or other kinds of design.